grow this economy over the next 3 years in a way that will change all of your lives for the better. All of your lives for the better. We will raise the standard of living in terms of salary. We'll raise the standard of living in terms of quality. We will set a standard here. Hopefully others will want to follow. And we will bring investors here. And my personal belief is quality, not quantity. We don't want people coming here in mass that don't leave money behind in this economy. You rather see a fewer number of people that will spend real money in this economy that affects your lives, your children's lives, our schools, our infrastructure, and all of those things that are so critical to a country's growth. We can make a huge impact, the biggest impact in this country's future, if I have a government that will work with us. Now, this development, this master plan you see behind you, I hope all of you have had a chance to look at, involves working around Shell Beach Road, here at disused runway 10, and of course the projects that we've already completed at the airport. I have been working closely and have a great respect for the Prime Minister of Antigua, Baldwin Spencer. I think he's a very good man, an honest, committed, ethical human being. He and I will never see eye to eye when it comes to business. That's not his forte. Mine is certainly not being a political leader, but we have, I think, come to a good understanding about what he sees for the country's future and what I see, and it's in parallel. Now, when you have the leader of the country and the leader of which is the largest investor in the country of the business that is going to make this type of investment, I then do what I always do. I take, as an entrepreneur does, risk. I invest capital to get a return, long-term return. I invest capital in quality, in people, in my physical plants here, in our employees, those things that I look for down the road 10, 15, 20 years to pay off for us. And I go down one road, and I think I'm going down that road with all of you, or hopefully most of you, in the road with me. And hopefully today you'll have a very clear understanding where that road I see us going anyway is the same road I think those in government are going. And then you get a letter from the Development Control Authority that says the 9 project items most recently submitted are not going to be approved. Things as ludicrous as landscaping. I think all of you know where the observation tower is at the airport. They give us a letter telling us we can't landscape at that observation tower. Now, how silly is that? Telling us to stop everything on Shell Beach Road, which is simply at this stage of the game a patch-up of Shell Beach Road before we want to realign the road, make this into a magnificent park for all of you to enjoy, to do something that hopefully others will emulate and others will want to say, wow, that is incredibly beautiful. Let's do that. Parts of the country that are tourist related and driven. Let's copy what Stanford and his guys and gals did out on Shell Beach Road. When the DCA comes with no warning, no reason really of any sanity in terms of how they explain themselves, just stop. And they do it in an ambiguous way where they say, but not limited to. Stop 9 projects, but this is not limited to only those 9 projects. What is it limited to? I have to make a decision. Am I going to continue to spend literally millions of dollars a week now? A week, not a month, a week. Am I going to continue to bring architects, engineers, the world's finest architects and engineers? Week before last, I had 50 of them in this country that are working very hard on the finest master plan the world has ever seen for a tourist-related product. Employing others like OBM here in Antigua, who has hired another, I think, dozen or 20 support design staff to create something that all of you can then work on and build. When I have the DCA tell us, stop, we're not with you. We don't want you to continue this. You don't stop a freight train that's moving down the track at this speed. If you do, what I think in all of our minds would understand is called a derailment of that train. And it is very, very difficult to get that train back on track once it has been derailed. The momentum, the energy, the hard work, the behind the scenes, the nearly 28 million US dollars, I counted it up last night, that we have spent just in architectural design and engineering and support and air travel over the past 8 months to bring something to this country that will employ 3,000 people in the construction phase, put $450 million in your pockets, directly in your pockets over the next 15 months, and is only part of a bigger step to get into, hopefully, the Guiana Island development is unconscionable to me as to why, and I'm not blaming the government, you have to be very cognizant of this, I'm saying DCA would take this action. Now, do I look at the Minister of Aviation as the culprit of this driving? I don't know. Do I go to the Prime Minister and complain, which is what I'm doing? I'm telling all of you this, and normally would not get into such detail and put so much information at your disposal, other than you need to know what's going on. This development around Shell Beach Road and at the airport in no way, shape, form, or fashion will impact, in our best judgment and estimation, anything that is going on with Scott Wilson's master plan. In other words, the British team that the government has hired to give them a master plan. We have shrunk our retail village back to allow the government more than enough room to expand the arrival and departure area and give them that land if that's what's required. We have been reassured via a letter sent to the government that says we now can continue the development of this part of disused runway 10, 3 more hangars like this, a porte-cochere that's never been built in the world with that end rendering right there that will go right here at the end of this runway to create an aviation facility that will attract the wealthiest people in the world. They said, go ahead and do it. It's of no consequence to our overall master plan. But when the government says no, we might want to be in that business ourselves. A minister of government, minister of aviation says, no, we might want to be in that business ourselves. What business? You're not paying your bills. You're not capable of running something. No government is, as good as the private industry has the capacity to. The trend worldwide is for airports to be divided up, at least in sections, if not in whole, and be privatized, because the private sector does better at what they do, which is run a business, and the government does. They're not set up to run a business. We are. They should make sure that all of us adhere to rules and regulations and make sure that we adhere to safety and all of those things the government's supposed to do, and then get out of the way and let the private sector do what it does. Now, when you see clouds on the horizon like that, and you have a freight train heading down the road, you've got 2 options. You can either stop exactly where you are so the train doesn't get derailed, which is what I did, take a breath and see where do we stand. Or you can just keep going wide open, and you find out that ultimately maybe you made the wrong decision. The government then says, no, we do not want you to do any of this development. And then I have spent millions of dollars down a hole that will never come back. So that is why I made the decision to stop these projects in totality, because I wasn't sure what the projects in totality were going to be dealt with by the government in their yes or no or partial yes or no's. Now, I've covered a lot in a very fast pace, and I'm going to close this with some things that I hope make sense to all of you. I had a meeting yesterday with the Prime Minister and the day before with the Prime Minister. I committed $10 million, which I had previously. We signed the agreement to put in what he's calling the Entrepreneurial Endowment Fund. So small Antiguan and Barbudan citizens in terms of business who probably have non-bankable loans will have access to $10 million, up to $50,000 each, to get into business for themselves. But in order for an Antiguan and Barbudan citizen who maybe has never been in business for him or herself, or a businessman that's already in business that maybe needs working capital, needs to get some equipment, to be a success, you've got to have an economy that will allow you to do things for people in that economy, because money is turning over. If you have a stagnant, morbid economy, no matter how good a businessman or woman you are, no matter how hard you work, no matter how much of your life and soul you put into this, you're not going to succeed. You've got to have something that has some steam in the economic engine. This project, as I told the Prime Minister, will give huge steam in the engine. It will employ beyond